Hello everyone. The cultural and education rights of minorities are listed under Article 29 and 30 of the Constitution of India. First of all, coming to Article 29, Subclause 1, it says that protection of interests of minorities. Any section of the citizens residing in the territory of India or any part of India who are having a distinct language or a script or a distinct culture have the fundamental right to conserve that language, script or culture. This is a particular right granted under Article 29, Subclause 1. Coming to Article 29, Subclause 2, it also says protection of interests of minorities. No citizen shall be denied admission into any educational institution maintained by the state receiving aid out of state funds. So, Subclause 2 says that if any person is there, any citizen who is of a minority, but it doesn't mention only it mentions minorities in the marginal note, but the article doesn't mention. It says no citizen shall be denied admission into any education institution which is either maintained by state or receiving aid out of state funds on the grounds of either religion or race or caste or language or any of them. So, on these grounds, any person shall not be denied admission into any education institution. That is the mandate of Article 29, Subclause 2. We have Article 30, the next article, again pertaining to minorities. 30 Subclause 1 says, right of religious and linguistic minorities. So, there are only two kinds of minorities which are considered in this article, that is a religious minority or a linguistic minority. It says, all minorities, whether based on religion or language, shall have the right to establish and administer educational institutions of their choice. So, any minority which is pertaining to religion or pertaining to language, they have the right to establish and administer their own educational institutions and look after that or do all the things which is necessary to protect their rights under Article 30 Subclause 1. There is one more article which has been added by the amendment of, we can say, the 44th Amendment of 1978, when the right to property was removed from the Fundamental Rights chapter. This article pertains to the right of these minorities relating to their property, which is the institution or the education institution. It says, compulsory acquisition of property of minorities. Now, for example, when there is a property and we don't have a fundamental right to property, so the government can acquire the property if it is required for a public purpose. So, when there is a compulsory acquisition of property of minorities, their fundamental right under Article 30 may suffer. For this purpose, it says that if the state makes a law for compulsory acquisition of property of a minority institution, then the state shall ensure that whatever the amount is fixed at the time of such acquisition, because when we see that a property is acquired compulsorily, they have to be given an amount in lieu of that property. So, the state shall ensure the amount fixed for such acquisition does not restrict or abrogate the right of that minority. This is a very valuable right, that even after compulsory acquiring the property of the minority, that is the education institution, the state has to ensure that whatever amount is given should be such that this right continues. Their right is not taken away from them and it does not be restricted, or they cannot be said to stop their institution. They are able to once again establish this institution in some other place and continue. So, that is the important right which has been granted by way of an amendment. Coming to Article 30 Subclause 2. This is again relating to discrimination. Discrimination against educational institutions run by religious and linguistic minorities. It says that when the state grants aid to educational institutions, the state shall not discriminate against any educational institution on the ground that it is under the management of a minority. For example, if a educational institution is managed by a minority, then just because it is under the management of a minority, the state shall not think of giving less aid. Whenever it is granting aid to all educational institutions, the aid should be such that it is equally distributed and there should not be any discrimination just because it is part of a minority. This is protection against discrimination from the state in granting aid. Article 30 subclause 2 grants this particular protection. So, we have seen that in the cultural and educational rights which are granted as a fundamental right, the fundamental rights of minorities are protected under Articles 29 and 30. I hope you have learned something from this video. If you have liked it, please share it with anyone who you think would be interested. Please leave your comments and I would be happy to reply to them. Do subscribe to get more information on everyday law and legal studies. Thank you.